Good morning, fair people. A lot of you have asked to see a tutorial on how I do my makeup for my videos, and I've been a little bit resistant to it just because I don't want you guys to see what a hot mess I am and judge me. But then I thought, hey, maybe it'll be helpful for some of you to see what a mess I am. So today's the day. Before we get started, I have one disclaimer. I don't really care about doing my own makeup. If this was a really honest makeup tutorial, then it would probably just be a video of me watching 30 Rock and eating honey bunches of oats, because that's a much more accurate description of how I spend my mornings. I am passionate about the art of makeup, and one of the things that excites me about it is the versatility and that I get to work on all these different faces all the time, and working on my face is just kind of boring. But anyway, hopefully this will be helpful to you guys. I do understand that there's a benefit to seeing my perspective working on myself, since most of you will be working on yourselves. But if it's cool with you guys, in the future I'm probably going to bring in different models just because I feel like there's only so much I can teach you on my floor. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is actually a first impressions. I'm going to use the Hard Candy Glamoflauge concealer to conceal Mount Vesuvius right here. This is a shade medium, even though I'm like the palest I've ever been and I look like I live in a dungeon, because the color range runs like super duper light, I noticed. So let's just tap, 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 tap. Okay. Super high coverage. Very impressive coverage for a drugstore product. I like to conceal blemishes by covering the whole area and then a little bit surrounding and then feathering out the edges. Well, this has great coverage and it blends well, but all the colors that I looked at have a little bit of a dead quality. They need a little more warmth, but at least they're not too orange. So I think it's fine as long as you put it on under your foundation. I'm concealing more things just because why not? Oh, and I primed my face because after I washed it, I put on moisturizer with SPF, and that's enough most of the time. So even though I have dry skin in Austin, it's like 100 degrees right now, it's so hot. So I've been using a foundation that is more suited to like oilier skin types, I think, because it's pretty long lasting, oil-free formula. And it's the Covergirl Ready Set Gorgeous foundation. I talked about this in my July favorites video. I'm very impressed with it. And I'm going to apply it with my Real Techniques Miracle for Flower brush. I fluctuate between this sponge and the Beauty Blender. Right now I've fluxed this way because my toddler Caspian ate my Beauty Blender and dunked it in dark brown eyeshadow because he's awesome. Color's getting a little light for me right now. I'm stippling over areas with texture and where I don't want to disturb the coverage of the concealer, and then I'm sweeping in the areas where I want a little less coverage. I'm kind of new to the sponge party because they're a little harder to sanitize in your kit, but I've started using them on myself, and you know the famous saying, once you go sponge, you never go back? Well, it's right on the money because I cannot use brushes anymore. I love sponges so much. Now I'm using my lover, the Maybelline Age Rewind Concealer, to get rid of these crazy dark circles. Spongy time! Tap, 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 all day tap party! I kind of like do the residual taps around my nose just because this color's lighter than my skin and I don't want under my eyes to be the only place that's highlighted, so I kind of like just get it all around there. And since I now look like a ghost, I'm going to use the Makeup Revolution Ultra Bronze to bring myself back to life with magic. No, I didn't set with powder first because 1, lazy, and 2, I noticed that this kind of blends fine with this particular foundation, so. Big soft sweeping motions with a big soft brush all over the areas where the sun naturally hits the face, which is the cheekbones, nose, and forehead. And my dog just farted in here, so now it smells like eggs in a not good way. Thanks, Echo. Love you too. Okay, and just evening it out by like whatever's left on the brush, kind of touch, just gentle touches. Now I'm breaking another rule because I know that I can, and I'm using a cream blush on top of that powder bronzer, and I'm tapping it in with my finger right where I can feel the highest point of my cheekbone. And I'm not making any crazy faces while I do it because that just throws off the placement. A big theme in today's video is that my son Caspian likes to get into my makeup and destroy it. So here's my Flower Beauty highlighter that I love, and it's all full of finger marks from little baby fingers. Put that schnapps on my cheekbones. And lately I've been being crazy and putting it there. And the only way I can get away with doing that on top of the powder is if I just press it in with a damp sponge rather than trying to like smush it to blend it. Ging, 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 ging. Healthy, radiant. And now I'm using the Maybelline Brow Drama Complexion Crayon as a contour. Do you see it? Putting that on the angle of where the top of my ear meets my head, down towards the corner of the mouth. Just like draw a line there, taper it off towards the end of your brow or like the outside of your eyeball. Using my literal paintbrush, because you can't teach an old drog new tricks, apparently. I don't think anyone ever knows what I'm saying. Blending, blending, blend. Cheekbones? Cheekbones? Yeah. So, now I'm gonna fill in my brows with the Flower Beauty brow pencil. I just brush this bad boy all throughout, and I hold the brush at an angle, if that makes sense, so that I'm like shaving down one side. Because unfortunately, this isn't a micro pencil, so now when I get to the end where I want to be more precise, I have a little sharp point that I can use. And on the outer half of the brow, just to add some extra lift, I like to concentrate my filling in on the top half, not the bottom half. I want to say that my brows are ratchet right now, because I haven't tweezed them in forever, but I don't really know what ratchet means. Being very gentle as I fill in this portion, because I don't want to look like I'm super pissed off. I already look like that. Brush end. Soften it up. Soften that schnapps. Okay, I got one crazy fool too, actually. Ow! Why does it have to hurt? Ooh, wow, easy. Okay, eyeshadow. This is where things really start to fall apart, you guys. I talked about this Pati Dubroff Dream Palette a while ago. It has since been discontinued, which is very sad because it's the only affordable, yes, I'm itching my boob, drugstore matte palette I found that I like. My son also likes it, and so he attacked it viciously, and he scraped his little fingers throughout the whole thing and ripped it apart, and I'm still using it. Using a soft fluffy brush and this ochre color, which is like a nice yellow toned medium brown. I'm gonna blot out any creases that have formed on my eyelids and just brush it all over. And I'm covering my entire lid, and then with my eyes open looking and just going right up above the crease. I go into a lot of detail about shadow shape in my book, and this is what I refer to as the defining shape, which is basically like a flattering placement for your eyeshadow regardless of your eye shape. And yes, my eyeshadow does start to crease halfway through the day, but I didn't want to go grab an eyeshadow primer. That's how lazy I am. And then I'm just going to do a touch all along underneath my elbow and connect it at the corner. A smaller brush would have worked better, but lazy. I really mean it, guys. This is an Eco Tools brush from their little dual eyeshadow kit, and I use this little stubby guy and I dip it in water and I press that into the dark brown shade. Kind of press it on the back of my hand just to make sure it's blended. And then I just press it into the lash line. Messily. I take it out like slightly in a wing shape, and I use my finger to just kind of like wipe it off if it's being crazy. I like to connect it down to the bottom lash line, just a little bit on the outer corner. My eyes are pretty narrow set. This helps to... Once that dries, I like to take the other end of the brush and kind of soften the edge a little bit. I apply it wet so that it's a little bit stronger color payoff, because I have a tendency to look just like a giant thumb. I have like no definition in my face or eyes without makeup. So I really need some darkness along my lash line and just around my eyes to not look like it's just a camera on a giant this. And with that other end, I take a little bit of the brown, but not wet, just a corner that's dry. And with my eyes open, I blend it right into the crease. Keep my eyes open so I can really see the placement. And then I close them and it's all wonky, and I just kind of blend it together. I'm putting very little of the product actually on my eye. I put that little initial bit and then now I'm just blending. That's it for the eyeshadow, guys. It's literally 2 colors. I use this L'Oreal Super Slim Liner Pen because it is really hard for me to use pencils on my own eyes. Am I totally alone in the universe? I don't hear anyone talk about this. Anyway, I press the side of the liner pen right down into my lash line. I don't know if you noticed, but I like to start on the outer half and then work my way into the inner half, because you know sometimes you're like overly excited when you first put on, you're like, oh, that was a really thick line. And if you do that on the inner half, then you're like forced to just thicken it even more, and then you end up with like crazy face. So while I get my bearings, I start on the outer half. I'm doing like a baby winged liner because I have hooded eyes and it's more of an ordeal if I want to do a full-on one. But just imagining that there's a line continuing up from my lower lash line, I'm just kind of going like laying the side of the pen down and going press. Using tiny strokes like this is much easier to control than if you just try to go voila. I like to thicken all liner from like the highest point of my upper lash line out. Urban Decay Perversion Mascara, Holy Grail. I don't even curl my lashes with this stuff anymore, which is unbelievable. Okay, this step definitely doesn't happen in real life, but for my videos, to avoid thumbness, I usually put on a little bit of false lashes, but strips are uncomfortable for me and annoying to put on, so I use individuals, and I love these ones where it's like 3 little clusters already because it's way faster than putting on the individuals. And I just put like 3 on the outer corners. And for my lips, I just fluctuate between various lip balms and glosses. This is a Wet n Wild Mega Slicks Balm Stain, which is a really pretty color. It's like too bright for me normally, because I'm like allergic to looking like I tried. I'm gonna put a little bit of a nude gloss over it just to tone it down. There you have it, folks. I love this look because it really enhances how moderately attractive I am. Okay, hopefully that was helpful for you guys. I always get a little bit stressed out when I'm doing tutorials because there's so much that I want to say, but I don't want to make a video that's 800 hours long because you guys don't want to watch a video that's 800 hours long. So seriously, just read my book. It's $6. I know that makes it sound like a commercial, and I kind of don't care. Because seriously, I just laid out all of the information from my mind grapes, and I know it would be really helpful for you guys. So there's a link in the description box. Go read it. Alright, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up, and check me out on Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter at Kiki Makeup. I will see you in a couple of days. Goodbye. I will be your father figure. Put your tiny hand in mine.